for tuning into our podcast. And in this episode, we're excited to introduce our guest, Cassidy Torrey. Hello, Cassidy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How's it going?
Good. I always wake up with gratitude, have a good attitude. So that's how I start my day.
That's really good. I think everyone's has to feel that way as you are. We forget this feeling. We forget to feel the gratitude.
We do. And that's one of my main principles. And I'm mainly here to talk about my manifest group and everything we've done together as we talked about and promoting. And it's very important to me to give without an expected return. I'm very spiritually inclined, so to speak. So I recognize karma and everything like that. And the more you give out, the more you're going to receive. And the main thing is you got to wake up every day and realize that you're breathing, you're alive, there's people worse off than you, then so that gratitude goes a long way. So
Yeah, as far as I know, you are a producer at Runway Media and Runway TV.
I'm actually going away from that brand right now. Right now that was something I used to do. I'm still going to talk about it, but it basically I left that for bigger stuff on my own accords. But I'm still going to talk about our experience of what we've done with that. So on that side, I'm actually looking to produce my own content as far as there. That was a brand that we were attached to, but right now we're going to be going away from that, just based off of what we have. But I'll still going to talk about the experience based off the manifesting group. So.
Yeah, and you're an owner of, as you said, the Manifest Media Broker Group, right?
Yep, of course.
And can you tell us about your areas of activity, current and future projects?
Yeah, of course. So, my team has been to Hollywood as far as that brand over there. We've gone back and forth. That's how I've given back. So I've taken people from Arizona and brought them to Hollywood. Jacob Mir is a good friend of mine over there in the Fashion House for the Stars, and he allowed us to do Vivica Fox, which was the last issue there. Took my whole team up, showed him a great time. And that's how what I want to do. I want to bring using my connections over there and bring people to not only Hollywood, so to speak, but also here back to Arizona. So they're all Arizona-based crew. We had a couple people over there, went over there and shot with celebrities, the red carpet. Samantha Goldberg's a good friend of mine. She's the host from E Entertainment. So we've been doing a ton of stuff over there, but what we really want to concentrate on is our own works. I'm here to promote not myself, but mainly actually to represent the people in my group because that's what I like to do. But talk about Arizona filmmakers. I love Arizona. I've been here my whole life. I love the location and the people as well. And the main thing is the project. The main thing I'm going to be doing, which is really it's close to my heart because it's my own project. It's going to be a vampire Western movie, believe it or not, and that's going to be we're going to be doing a proof of concept, and everybody's really excited about that. So what we do as a group, and this is like it's not required. I don't charge for it or anything. We have this group every Tuesday that meets around 8 p.m. and we just are there for each other, right? And we don't accept limiting beliefs like money, time, things like that. This group is it's like I call it the Fight Club of media, right? So we all come together and we do without any limiting beliefs, and we've done magic stuff. Darian from Harmon Entertainment is one of my favorite people. He's one of the up and coming filmmakers that is just unbelievable. And what I'm here to pitch people like that to bigger contact because a lot of times the creatives they don't know how to pitch themselves, nor do they want to. So I'm able to go ahead and be the representation, get them work in between through the commercial industry I've established. I've had my company in 15 plus years in dental implant commercials. So I'm able to get them work on top of get the projects going and really get out there and give them a voice. So a lot of people in Arizona, when I started my business, one of the best advice that I ever had was go wide, not deep, right? So even though I am I'm a new native, I've been in Arizona for over 15 years now. I'm from New Hampshire, but even though I'm a new native, I still respect Arizona as my home and I want to bring it to the next level. I still believe that I know, and it's not even a belief, I know that we can create a new Hollywood. I don't want to be like Hollywood, to be honest. I want it to be a little bit more ethical, no P. Diddy or anything like that. But the main thing is to bring it here, and we can. It's just believing that you can do stuff like that, and all it takes, and I've had guys break out their comfort level and destroy their limiting beliefs in the group, and they would be going places, and that's what makes my heart feel joy, right? Is when people take that extra step and realize how awesome they are, really. So
That's really a cool idea. It's really kind. So your project is independent, right?
yeah, I'm an independent producer, so I don't like to say indie because I have scaled up on a high level on as far as my connections. I have this may sound a little but basically a lot of people love me because I do have that vibration, and I bring that to the table, and I can make people feel joy. It's one of my things. I like calling myself a joy genie. So that's what I do, and really focus on what's best for everyone, and not just myself, and where I can bring and harness the most abundance for not just myself, but we get one big movie here. It feeds a whole tribe of people. So that's what I'm looking for to do.
Yeah, it's really cool that you enjoy what you're doing. Because
Yeah,
if
I
you
always say,
enjoy it, then you'll succeed.
yeah, I always tell people in the group and just in general, go to your joy, not your job, right? So, and if you are going to a job and not your joy, you got to find a way to flip it. And so I say, if you have a 9 to 5 and you're going to your job, you got to check into your joy at the end, because life's too short. You got to live it. And a lot of people are trapped in these limiting beliefs and the security, and I understand that more than anyone. But you have to believe in yourself enough to make that leap, right? And that's what a lot of people I find are really struggling with, is they don't have the confidence to leap over the edge. And I'm the guy kind of pushing people around, like, you can jump, but I do understand the security and things like that too as well. So I actually work with anybody in the group, whether it's personal or in the film producing side. Anything that I have, my expertise, consultation, all that type of stuff is for free for the group. That's how I give back, and just to evolve everyone, right? And what we've done, and when you see all the projects we completed as a group in just good faith and enjoy, it's mind blowing, as far as like people would always tell us, you can't do it for that. I was like, oh, you have to get paid for that, and like, it's not about that for us, and that's what makes us successful, is we go in with intent. A lot of people try. We don't. That's one of my main thing. I have a new guy named Maurice in my group, and he had a consultation with him. He called me and it's like, hey, I'm trying to do this. Well, that's the thing, is don't try to do anything. You're setting yourself for defeat. 90% of your mind is subconscious, right? The 10% is conscious. So by saying I'm going to try, or I might do that, or hey, I'll see if I can do that, you're already telling your mind you're not going to do it. So you will or you won't. It's like it's Yoda, right? You will or won't. There is no try. And the more you can get away from words like try, maybe, these wishy-washy words, the more you're going to actually manifest. And that's why I came up with my company, Manifest Media Broker Group, because it is manifestation. So, and the more you believe in yourself, the more you can achieve. Like you doing this podcast, you have to physically do it, or else it doesn't happen, right? A lot of people have the thought, but they can't pull it in and actually execute. They don't take the actions to the thought. It depends on what you want to do. But I do have that, what I call meta ability. I'll automatically charge that person, and then as I speak, it's like I'm removing limiting beliefs from them. And it's like, why do I feel energy? Why do I feel motivated? Why do I feel joy by just talking to this guy? It's I can't take credit with it. I can, because it is me. It is me projecting that joy and that frequency. But it's just a confidence thing. And a lot of people, this is what I do. This is why I can't just sit in my house and not do it, because I do affect people on a spiritual meta level, so to speak. And a lot of times people come to me, and there's free will and all. People can choose not to listen to themselves, really. But what I'm doing is I'm just casting it back on, like, it's just a reflection. I know that you and I are not the same person, but we are. We're all humans, and we all have the consciousness, and we're all attached in consciousness in my belief, right? But what it's all about is just motivating you to do more. And I literally blast energy to people, and I'll blast out, like, well, I'll look at it and be like, well, I'll try. It's like, well, are you going to do it or not? Right? Let's really look at this. Let's really, like, instead of pretending that we're going to do something, let's either do it or not. Let's either put it on the shelf, because otherwise, if you have all these tries, right? If I put I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try that. You have all this spread of things you are might or might not do. But if you start cutting them out, no, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Then you put your energy and funnel it into that, what I call the law of consistency, which is putting that energy in and attracting what you really want because you chose it. It's not a want. It's not a need. It's like, this is what I require. And the words that come out of what spiritual people call it your vocal chakra are so important because your mind doesn't know the difference. So when I say 90% is subconscious, that's a huge percentage. So if I say, I'm going to try to do this, your mind, you already defeated yourself, right? You already lost because you don't want to. Yeah, the words that you just said, just your consciousness, your 90% subconscious does not know that difference. And that's why people don't succeed because they're trying. The most successful people, like I have a friend, he doesn't like having his name because he's so big. But he wakes up every day without the discipline, the law of consistency. Every day he comes on and he does it, and he's massively abundant, like apartment complexes, all this type of stuff. And I meet these people just subconsciously because I manifest them. That guy's my best friend. We hang out all the time. And I talk to him and more off than I am, but you just realize that there's no point in jealousy or those call it low vibes, right? You're definitely exact. It's like low vibrational energy, right? So I don't have any of that. I've cleared all of that. So that's what you're feeling as far as this energetic. I can remote to you. Like you're like, wow, why do I feel like it's like coming through the screen? And in film, that's what I like because you are imbuing the essence within the screen, right? So people think of it differently. It's like, oh, I'm just filming you. No, whatever you are, and this is what acting is, right? When the more they're like that person, the more they have what's called the suspension of disbelief, which is an actual film theory. So the suspension of disbelief is like, have you ever seen a movie that you're so enthralled in, the world goes in, and you just start crying? I was like, I don't know why. I know this is fake, but I'm crying because it's just so real to me. So we call this suspension of disbelief. And good actors know this. It's every micro expression. It's all the subconscious behavior to put in that screen. That's why they make the big bucks opposed to your typical actor, right? Because they are able to embody that character. And then the filmmaker, the director, is able to capture that essence and then project it to everybody else. So, and that's really why I got into film, because of that whole concept of you're imbuing for me, you're imbuing the frame. Like you're putting that person's essence in that project, that creativity of the full team, not just the director, everyone, right? And the better that team is, the better that message is delivered. And that's why the best ones always get the work, right? Because it's like, okay, we know that you can do this. We know that you can carry this message over. We know that you can project this to the masses rather than pretend or try, They become that character.
Yeah, I have to just make some steps, even small steps, and just do it.
And
Just do
just
it.
do it. And you are. I mean, we're having this podcast. So just, take it. Congrats to you for doing what people are. They just sit on the shelf and they just like, oh, it's. I say, don't stop at the starting line. Because so many people are afraid to take that first step because they just can't see the goal. It's like, look, you got to start running. Like you're just going to stay on the starting line and let everybody else run in front of you. And even if you trip and fall and you get back up, you're still going towards it. And what people, they restrict themselves by just not even taking the first step. Like I have all these ideas and they have all this creation and they caught in the creative mind, but when we talk about like when you balance what I do, which is the manifest media, the creative aspect is what we call the feminine aspect. It's in the mind, it's the creation. The masculine aspect of that is pulling that creation from what we call the 5D, 4D, and pulling it into reality. And then basically that's the masculine side, is the doing of things. And you have the divine feminine and masculine in nature. It's there. And this is not about like I'm non-political. I practice what's called non-duality, which one man's hero is another man's terrorist, right? Or somebody's hero is another. And once you start seeing things that way, you just love everyone, every culture, every time, every person. And you're like, look, I'm going to go beyond my culture, my programming, right? How we were raised, this religion, that religion, red versus blue. To me, non-duality is the key to humanity, because we all are humans, the hue of man, right? So that's so important to me on my core. because that's what allows you to go beyond that programming. So if people are like, oh, I'm red, I'm blue, I'm this, I'm that, I'm like, cool. I'm not here to judge whatever you want to be. But I do understand the meta principle of what's called non-duality. And once you really pull yourself out of that, you can really, that's when you start playing with the matrix or the universe that we have created, and then you can start playing with it, and that's what manifestation is. And that's why my company's Manifest Media Broker Group, because in the group that I have, they, I don't require them to show up. They don't have to. I don't charge for it. They can come and go as they please. I do have what I call an intent rule, which is that if you don't show up 3 times or you don't tell me you're going to show up, if you have work, whatever, then I'll just remove you and you can come back anytime you want. Because it's all about intent. You have to, and I tell people, look, thank you for showing up for yourselves, because I show up for other people and they show up for themselves, right? And in that group, and it's all about that. It's like, look, do you have the integrity to love yourself enough to show up? And a lot of it is self-love. And like I was talking about that Maurice guy, he started extracting that word try. He was trying 2 to 3 years for this account, right? And then he stopped trying and he's like, you know what? You're right, Cassidy. And he started practicing it, applying it. And then when you start willing things into existence, it's a conscious command, right? It's not praying. Praying is, this is non-religious. You're pray, right? You're hoping the environment gives you everything, and just because. It doesn't work that way. You consciously command it and you take the actions towards that. And you don't have to know what to do, so to speak. It's just going towards what you want and creating meaning on, or what you require. Really, it's not even words like want and need. Those are needy victim words, is what I call. These words are put in our vocabulary to make us weak. Like if I say, how is your weekend, right? Weak is in there. So when I go into my spirit mode, I can go ahead and dissect words, and what I do is I extract it from people's vocabulary. It's like, okay, you just said something that your body doesn't recognize, so let's remove that and phrase it differently in order to not cast a spell on yourself, so to speak, right? And magic, science. I always love the quote. I'm gonna butcher it, but science is just magic that hasn't been discovered yet, right? It hasn't been researched yet. So. And that's what it is. It's like, oh, this is magic. Before, cavemen thought fire was magic until they understood what it is. Wi-Fi, right? My favorite thing is Wi-Fi. Oh, you don't believe in magic? You don't believe in that? Okay, what's Wi-Fi, right? How are we there? What's air? So once you start opening your mind into these, that's the kind of the process of enlightenment, and what like kind of Buddha and Yeshua talked about. I like to say Yeshua. Some people say Jesus, but it's taking points of subconscious to your conscious level. So that's what we practice, is just being conscious and aware of our words and our actions and what we do. And I have 3 guidelines. I don't have rules. I don't like rules. I break rules all the time. I'm a rule breaker. But the guidelines are, do what you say what you mean. If you're going to say it, be able to do it, or else don't say it at all, or say, I won't. Like, it's very, like, yeah, I'm sure you've had a friend that has convinced you, hey, come on, do this. Like, oh, I don't want to do this. And it's like, and then they break you because you're just trying to be a good person. Again, trying to be a good person. But they're pulling you into their manifestation, right? And for instance, the word understand. If I say, do you understand me? I'm putting you under me. I like the word, I take that phrase and twist it to be understanding. Yeah, I understand you. What do you mean understand? No, I get what you're saying, but I'm not going to be under you. You see what I'm saying? So that's the verbiage is so key to how this works. And what I want to encourage other people to do in Arizona is that they keep creating without going to the places they need to do to create the abundance, which is the financing, right? They're like, cool, I got this project, got this pitch deck, and then they stop. Keep going. You gotta figure it out. You gotta pitch 1,000 people. And go ahead without an but the main thing is people are like, oh, my project's the best in Arizona and that, and it's about everybody else. And then they go to the market and they get scared. That's where it stops, is that I have brilliant people in the cage and they don't get scared at all anymore. Like they've been, but the people that I love that are like, I saw a guy, somebody gave me a pitch deck, right? I'll say his name because this helps him. Nick Lavari. He's very popular in the film community. He gave me his deck and his cat. I want notes. I'm like, dude, it's perfect. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, this is the best thing I've seen in Hollywood, and that you have to have more confidence. You have to just get out there. It is literally one of the best things I have. He had a digital, he had the promo, he has everything. So you just have to do, you know? And being reliant, I will help push them in that, but I tell people, don't rely on me. I'll do a non-exclusive and push you out there. That's what I'm doing, but I'm not going to ever do exclusive with anyone because I don't want to hold people, because I know what that feels like. I've been held with exclusive contracts or salaries, and it's being held from somebody else, and that destroys your soul. That's why I got out and went independent completely. I used to work at Sun Studios, one of the biggest studios here in Arizona, for a year and a half. I was very good. I did the studio sales on top of everything else, production. I even executive produced one of probably the darkest horror movies I've ever seen in my life. I can't even watch it. But I executive produced it, right? Because the guy was a low budget horror. I went and found the team. He put up the money, and he made really good. It's called Party Bus. It's on Amazon. Not really that proud of it as far as what the material is, but it's out there. It's like equivalent to Saw. It's very dark, but that's what he wanted, and that's what I manifested for him, right? So, but my lesson on that, and to everybody, is be the owner, not the owned, right? You want to be the owner of your own sovereignty. And you can be. The trick is that everybody's going to put you under them, or want to, and minimize you and create that limiting belief around you, where it's like, you know what? I can be an owner. I just go get an LLC, start your own business. Congratulations, you're an owner for $100 for the fees. That's it. 100, $200, you're an owner in an LLC. Then get a bank account, get some credit cards. Then you can. What I did is no one gave me ever a dime there. I had a small investor growing up, but even before that, I just created these dental implant packages, right? So I have a bunch of sayings. One of my favorite sayings is, if you want diamonds, don't go to the dump. This isn't meant to be derogatory. This is to mean, if you are selling like products that are $20,000, don't go to the person who can't afford it, right? You're going to go to the dentist. So I started dental implant. I'm like, okay, what's a good vertical? Dental implants. I had a buddy. He worked at the second biggest implant. Just so everybody knows my backstory, is this is how I got started. Just if anybody's starting or anything like that. And I literally created money out of nothing, right? So, and it was crazy to me. I was like, whoa, like I didn't even have to put any money down or investment. So you can do it with, it's such a lie of how they tell you have to do things. You don't have to do anything, things any way but your own, with your own sovereignty. So that's where anybody who's willing to take that. I got Shark Tank when I was younger, and I'm still recovering from that. Somebody took a small amount in, and I had I finally got out of it, but it took forever. So the main thing is, going back to it, the dental implants, I just came up with these packages, full service case study packages. We'll walk with your customer from start to finish. They do full dental implants, and we covered the before, the during, and after. And the clients loved it. I still have, to this day, that company that generates revenue, that I'm able to pay people out in Arizona. A lot of people don't know that I'm probably one of the most consistent people who paid those out, right? And and that's what I do. And I expanded wide, not deep. And I would recommend that Arizona, even though we are kind of the Arizona club, don't limit yourself to just Arizona. You can still be from Arizona, and like I am, and still get work out I've gotten all over the nation. So literally, I have a national company. I expanded wide. I didn't compete with everybody in Arizona. That's not viable, because then everybody else is doing the same thing. But if I say, okay, now wider net, right? I'm going to go in the nation. So that's what I did, and I stumbled, but I like to say manifest, because I said this to a person the other day. And this is going to sound derogatory, but luck is for losers, right? You manifest that, right? You consciously command it. So people are like, oh, you got lucky. It's like, how did I get lucky 15 years of existence, right? No, you put the effort towards it. And so it may feel like luck, but its manifestation is because you're in such a high vibration that you're attracting all of this abundance to you. It's a whole different. So I don't believe in luck. I believe in that you draw it to you, right? And the higher and more joyful I am, the more will be drawn to my abundance. So And when I was doing the implant company, I just did. I didn't even think. The problem is we get caught in our brain about the logic side of things. But the most effective people, they don't think, they do. And this is that law of consistency. They just, you know what? Like an influencer just getting started, I'm gonna get like 10 views, and they're not discouraged, even though other people are discouraged. No, keep going. Keep doing the same thing. That law of consistency triggers. Eventually, it just pulls it in because it's like, wow, this guy's consistent. I really like his content, and you get subscribers, and then you build up. So going back to how I got started, is I got started through the second, and then I didn't even have to sell. They sold my product and this is another trick for you and your viewers only, because nobody else will know about this, is the implant company took my product, attached it to the implants, and said, hey, you can get a video now with it. And that's what sold their implants. So they are happy. I was happy. Their sales rep was selling for me. I didn't have to sell. I was just what we call fulfillment, which is they sold it. They paid me money, a lot of money, right? And most filmmakers are like, okay, $500 a day, especially in Arizona, even though their value is so much higher. 500 a day is typical as far as I'd say the average. There are people who do 750 to 1,000 a day. It's very rare in Arizona, but on the average, I would say like 500 on as far as a filmmaker, like a good filmmaker. But I was receiving, at that point, with inflation, it was a long time ago, only like 4,000, but I was able to make like a 20 to 30% profit margin. But I increased it. Now the same package I sell for 7,500. Why? Because I realized I can. I can't, it's like, well, why am I selling this for less? The value is so high. I got feedback from all the dentists, and one time, and this is a third-party company called Microsite, came back to me. It was like, hey, we have like 4 clients that you did video services. Do you know what your videos are doing? Like, no, people just hire me. I have no idea what they do after the fact. And they're like, we're getting like a 7 to 10x return on ad dollar spent on your service, on your videos. I'm like, wow. Thank you for the statistic, because now I don't have to do the market research and I know the effects. And that's how manifestation works, is you just go in and you just especially without expected return. The thing is a lot of people are like, I'm demanded. I don't want to say the problem, but this is the vibration when you get away. I'm Steven Spielberg in Arizona, and I'm determined to have 20 million for my project because I'm special. Yeah, I get it. Everybody's Spielberg. But you got to be realistic at the same point, right? And yes, you can manifest abundance like that, but you have to go through the steps, right? And that's where people they attempt to skip the line and they always fail. It's because the perception in their head, and they put a pin on it, right? The main thing is like, I'm going to do it this exact way. Whereas if they just be like, you know what, I'm just going to do, and these are the steps I'm going to get there, and the universe will provide for me more than I could ever think or conjure in my head. That's the absolute truth. And that's always served me well, because things will come out of nowhere. Like I didn't know I was going to get a whole sales team selling my service. I thought I was going to be the one doing the sales the whole time. And I could have never, ever dreamed of that situation back then. But it happened because I just put the effort in. I put the time in. I remember my dad gave me, I think it was only like it was $6,000 to buy 2 GH4s back there. It was like 2 dinky cameras, Panasonics. But it's all about the filmmaker, and I'm a producer, so I don't actually touch camera, and it's something I don't like doing. But I love supporting. I love seeing the project manifest, right? And then the whole beauty of making money out of nothing. Like it was basically a concept. Then we imbue the frame, like we were talking about earlier, and then people pay for that feeling. And the statistics show that. So the microsite with a 7 to 10x ROI on ad dollar spent, right? That happened because the emotional point of our videos. So in our videos, we do the before, during, and after. And what I always make fun of the pharmaceutical, or what I call pharma companies, where they'll show you the after. Oh, look how happy I am and all this, and they don't show the before. So it doesn't make a story. One of
Yeah.
my favorite, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
It's like
no,
a hook.
yeah,
A
well,
great
it's just,
hook for the people. Yeah, it's better to see before and after, and it motivates you to go and do that, to go and do the same.
yeah, exactly. And And that's where I feel as long as people, I'm here to bring people back to their own joy, destroy limiting beliefs of themselves. Because one of my favorite things is like, yeah, you can do it. Like, no, I can't. Well, now you can't because you're putting that I can't in there. So again, this goes back to the subconscious, right? So it's I can't, and then you won't. You have to be like, I can, I am, I will be. When I first started in school, I remember I started my LLC because I realized they were telling it like, here's the worker, here's that, and here's the owner. I'm like, well, how do you be an owner? And I looked it up, and it's just simple filed paperwork for an LLC. Then you get a bank account number, and then you can get here's a fun trick for you, and you might want to do this yourself. I was taught how to cycle credit, and this is completely legal. So what you do is you get a business credit card with your EIN. You get like the best one's Chase. You get this 18 months, 0% interest on that card. You spend on it, you replace it, you spend on it, you replace it. Your credit's going to skyrocket. When that 18 months with no interest stops, you go to a different company, get another card for like 12 months, 0% interest, right? So then you stop using that card, your credit's up there, and then you use this other card for your business expenses, right? Under your LLC, so you're protected. So when everything happens, it's good. Then you just do the same thing. You spend on the card, you replace it, you spend on the card. That 12 months is up, get a new business card. And you can keep doing this. So you can never pay interest as long as you pay off your cards. You have to pay off your cards, don't get me wrong. But once that happens, like it builds up. So you have like a 25K credit card here, a 20K credit card here, 17K there. And guess what? You can open other LLCs. So you can do that times 3, times 4. So there is a ton of ways, and people have these limiting beliefs of credit's bad. It's only bad if you want it. If you have that perception. Everything's only bad if you make it bad. Nothing is bad nor good. It just is. And that's the hardest thing for people to understand. And that's like meta levels. I can't even mention that to some people because they're just like, no, this is the way. This is what I was told. This is what my family told me to do. Like, cool, man. I'm not going to ruin you. It's your journey. I'm not going to judge you. It's not my right to judge in this lifetime. I'm just here as a guide. I do not lead, nor do I follow. I walk with people who want to walk with me, right? And I'm here to guide people back to themselves, back to their joy, back to their beliefs and sovereignty. So just those principles, I've kind of merged my spiritual principles with what I do, but it's been effective. I started this manifest group with this, he's still in it to this day, Noah, 4.0 student. And I was mentoring it, and I started this group, and we've expanded to a huge degree. And some people come in and out because they just don't believe in themselves enough, and that's fine. I'm not here to hold anyone's hand, and I'm not also here to I'm not here to baby people, but if you're willing to face yourself, a lot of times like it's too much for people because they can't deal with critique, they can't deal with discipline, they can't deal with themselves, honestly. And they'll reject themselves out of the group. I don't need to do anything if they don't vibrate the way that we do. They'll just remove themselves. I welcome anybody in, but if you're not showing up for yourself, that's how it works. Is because we all show up for each other. Even with like, hey, I got you. You help me out on that project. I'm going to help you out on this project. Hey, I got this time off. This is the resources I have. This is what I don't have. I'd love to do what I can. And that the universe will give you back. It will pay you back in kind, but you can't expect it, right? You have to do it with genuine, because people will be like, yeah, I'm all in. I want to help and all that. And then they're not getting what's theirs. And then they go away. But that mentality will never let people succeed. Because it's a low vibration dominance energy, and people end up doing very dark things in order to stay on that platform. And that's where I'm able to go in and leverage those dark people for good people, and that's what I do best. Is I'm able to take I don't want to say certain situations right now, but these situations in Hollywood that's going on, I'm able to leverage it and still give people opportunity and credits they've never had, but still keep them safe from the bad vibes, right? The dark vibes. So that's where I take pride in, kind of like a spiritual crash dummy. And like they always send me on crazy things, my spirit guide. So, but it always ends up good. It always ends up good for me and what it is, because it's just holding that vibration. So.
We have just started, and we already got some life hacks from Cassidy. We have a motivational speech, and that's awesome. It's really productive. I was wanting to ask you, for how long have you been doing your project?
Oh man, ever since I started. So I went into film school. I fell in love with it. I started my company while I was in college. And then you always have naysayers. So the more you get closer, like you're saying with well, like I remember the guy specifically. His name was like Matthew, and he's like, "You're not gonna do that." I'm like, "Oh, you just gave me ammo, right?" Because once you get to that "I will do it" stage, anybody like that just adds to the fire. So I
Yeah.
started it when I was in school actually, and started my LLC then. It was like 15 years ago. I think even more than that, believe it or not.
Let's dive in about content. What trends exist in the media today?
Oh, there's a lot of trends. The AI would be probably the biggest.
Yeah.
So the main thing about AI is not good nor bad, it's how you use it, right? So the best thing is Star Wars. There's good droids and bad droids. There still are on each side. It's the programmer that makes it good nor bad. But the leverage for the indie filmmaker, this is what I love about it. Actually, I'm with PJ, shout out to PJ, and I'm on the board of the AI Film Festival. And first, I was the same way of other filmmakers, like, man, this is taking away from freedom. And then I had to look at it differently. So I pulled myself outside of it, like, huh, this is a tool that allows the small filmmaker to compete with the big guys. And you be like, and there's usually this funding gap, right? You need to have all this money, you need that. But the people who are brilliant and like sovereign in that, I've seen them do miracles with AI. And they would never be able to get the projects and opportunities they have without that opportunity of pulling it in filmmaking. So as far as the content trends, AI isn't bad nor good. It's how you use it. And yes, there's going to be a point where, you write it, but it's going to be so clouded. And there's good and bad in each, or not good and bad. It's just different things. It's this or that, really, right? So like for instance, you can't case study like my case studies, you can't AI. It's a full personal thing. We don't use actors. AI would ruin it, even though it would be fake. They can't even use it because doctors can't falsify, it's false advertising. It literally is. It qualifies under that. They can't take a AI person and say, hey, we did this mouth reconstruction and then post it and say it's theirs. It's actually illegal. It's falsifying their stuff. So and it ruins the essence. Like no matter how good that AI is, it's not going to be that person. It won't give them actual responses. We do documercials. So on the AI side, which is the content trend, it's very important to realize that it's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be bad if you perceive it as it, but what I've seen in the industry is that it enhances the indie filmmaker to go up to that level of the elites without the cost. So it's allowing other people to compete on that higher level. So that's a content trend that I see. The other thing is the reverse of it. It's not good enough yet. It's very, very close, but it's not good enough yet to do what a filmmaker does. It will get to that point where the filmmakers gonna have to have that ability to do AI and that in certain categories. Now, testimonials, real live events, and that type of stuff will still be popular with filmmakers because that's not going to go away. People like live. They don't like, like a boxing match. Like you're not gonna be like live AI boxing match with these two fighters. Like it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. People like the real. They like to not know what's going to happen, who's going to win, and it takes off that whole suspension of disbelief. So there'll still be a place for the filmmaker, but the main thing is to utilize AI as a tool to enhance what was already there.
And which genres and formats are becoming in demand?
Genres and formats. Oh, I mean, the genres are always popular. They cycle, right? So I was trained so movies, for instance, sometimes they'll be in demand. Like if you take the low end horror, right? So sometimes like they'll be like, oh, okay, vampires are in trend right now. So we're taking all the vampire stuff because it's popular. It's like a cycle. It goes down and comes back, right? It's a fluid cycle of these things, and then be like, all right, well, vampires are out now. It's zombies. Like we need the filmmaker, the buyers or the people like, hey, I need movies with zombies. Very popular right now. We just had Day of the Dead come out, and now we're looking to get all of these different things going on, right? So it's the trends will cycle. So as far as the genres are concerned, it's always a revolving door. So it's best to actually, and this is the hardest thing to do, is if it's not popular at the time, to sit it on the shelf. And people are like, no, I want to get a sale now. Yeah, I get that, but like Westerns, they start popping up, on that side. So then basically that's the time. It's been 2 years. It's green content, and this is on the genre side, a lot of people release too early, but if you're waiting, you patiently time that release, you can boost up with that trend, right? So, and what was the other part? It was the genres. What was the other part of the
And the
question?
formats.
Formats. So formats are very specific. So if you want to go like Hulu, Netflix, they have formatting rules. So you're like, okay, I made a movie and you spend it to Netflix, like we can't take it. It's wonderful, but we can't take it. What do you mean? I just spent millions of dollars on this. Well, you didn't shoot it in this. You didn't do the format for this. So as far as formats are concerned for OTT platforms, it's better to look it up ahead of time, figure out the cameras and formats that they're going to take before you even start a project. So this is the reverse engineering. Most filmmakers go in and it's like, I got this camera, so I'm going to do it. Well, that's limiting you. Now you can only go on, these OTT platforms. So figuring out the formatting rules for legacy media is very important. And as far as like submitting to legacy media, like Netflix, they'll even tell you, you have to go through an aggregator. An aggregator is somebody who's been proven in distribution. So you have to find that type of person attached to Netflix, get that exact formatting to go on Netflix even. Because otherwise, they won't even take it. They can't. They have a certain format in their streaming. They're like, wow, love your movie, can't take it. And that's why they have aggregators, so they don't have to fill through, because everybody wants to be on Netflix, right? But the formatting is very specific for the filmmakers. So if your goal is narrative, you should look up the format. I'm not saying should. I mean, people have free will. You can or can't, right? Or that's what we're talking about. But what I would recommend is go to, you want to be on Netflix, look at the rules, find the aggregator that fits there, talk to them first, then produce your movie. Everybody just produces it, black magic, stuff like that, whatever they can. You're going to limit yourself. And there's still stuff that you can do to make it work, like format for them and compression and all that type of stuff. But it's going to be more effective if you go in with the format that they want. That's going to put you above the bar initially, because you have all these other people who didn't follow the rules and you did. So then that's why you're going to be a top of them.
And speaking about producing, what nuances and challenges of the producer's work would you highlight?
Cool. Producers are what I always tell people, because it's like, what is a producer? It's like the management of the whole project. Yeah, producers are not, and there's many different types of producers. First off, some people are like, there's executive producing, which is, for me, to simplify it, it's either finding the money or being the money. So either you're the buyer and you're invested in the project yourself, you put the money down, or you're the person like me who goes and finds somebody with money and puts them in the deal, right? So that's executive producing. People are like, oh, executive producer. It's like, no, it's one of those two things. Like a producer in general is like the management of the whole film, or whatever the project is. They're not just there the start, they're there until it completes, right? So they're managing every aspect of the pipeline, from pre-production to production to post. And they're responsible for pulling it across into the post side effects. Because and then completing it, and then delivering it to the person. Without that person who's jumping back and forth to that, things tend to fall apart. So producing is like the management of whatever that project is. So producers are problem solvers. They're always decreasing budgets, increasing the value, and they are, I always, one of my favorite things is a War Dogs quote, and it's in there. It's all the money's made between the lines. So that's how producers operate. Hey, I can save money on this. Oh, it's going to cost me. This is one of the things I always do is locations, right? Hey, somebody's like, hey, it's going to cost you $10,000 to go to this bar in Scottsdale and rent it. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I can go across the street, have a conversation, and get a signed agreement for zero if this person likes me. So it may cost you $10,000, but for me, it cost me zero, because I know the game, right? So it's all about the knowledge. And as long as you get that image release sign, you talk to a person. We've done this in many ways, and it's not bad nor good. It's about just doing it. Like for For instance, for my promotion for my Vamp Western, it's cost me only $300 for this bar in Miami, Arizona. Right? They have a great. I love those people over there. Very low cost, very indie friendly budgets. And if it was going to cost me more, I wouldn't be able to do the proof of concept because they're like, all right, I'm going to find an investor and go through the whole thing. Like $300, that's fine for a great night and to be able to have that product. Whew, that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Full bar access, full control. So on the producer side, we're always problem solvers, and we're looking to either decrease the cost and increase the value of the project, and that's where you can get back end and things like that. But it's all about knowing the agreements. Producers who aren't knowledgeable are at a high risk of leaving money on the table, which means that they get paid a flat rate. They don't understand points and how that works. So you're like, okay, cool, I got paid on a project, but you could get paid indefinitely through residuals and royalties, right? But if you don't know that, you're not going to ask for that to be put in the agreement. So the more knowledge a producer has of how it is, or what tax incentives, tax splits, where to place your project, to like, okay, it's going to cost me 10 million over there, but if I go over here, then the state's going to give me back a 50-50 split. Right? Georgia is one of the best places for the tax incentive because you don't even need to live there. You just have to shoot what's called a tax split, a portion of it there, and you can leverage their tax incentive, right? So it's all about the knowledge. And to be a producer, we are just cosmic problem solvers. And you have to go in expecting it to do that because everyone's coming to you. You have to worry about liabilities. I always do, the first thing I do with anybody is all, right? I call it all, right? It's assets, locations, and liability, right? All. That's where I start. Okay, what assets do we have? Oh, it's going to cost X amount. All right, well, what assets do you have? Oh, well, I have this like cyber truck, and well, why don't you just use that and save some money? You know, you already have the asset. You don't need to pay for it. You know what? I never thought about that, right? A cyber truck's going to be a lot better than this car that you had, and it's sitting in your garage, rich person. You know what I mean? Why don't you just use it in your film? No one's saying you can't. Then you can write it off. And that's where the accountants come in. The accountants are amazing. They're good at writing and deducting and figuring it out, but you need those for tax incentives. But yeah, it's just working through those tasks and then the next one is locations, right? What locations can I get for free? Because if it's a privatized location, I can go in and just get them to sign an image release form. And you know, I had a friend with a mansion, and I was doing a reality show. It didn't cost me anything. I was like, hey, I'm just going to give you clips out of the show. It's going to put you on there. And guess what? The location cost me for this $10 million mansion? Zero. Anybody else didn't have that relationship? Oh, I don't even know what that would cost. So, you know, it's so assets, locations, and liability. So the liability is so key. You want to get this signed ahead of time. A lot of people do it as they go. But you can get image releases signed ahead of time for the project. You can get all the location releases signed ahead of the project because you run into that liability after the fact if you don't have that. Say your project's beautiful, you have everything aligned, but you didn't get the image release of this one actor that's in the whole thing. It could be a minor, it could be a major. You didn't get that one image release. And now it's about to get released, and you have to go back and beg that person to do it. And now they got you because they're like, okay. It looks like my agreement's going to change because without this project isn't going to do. So you just gave them the control. You just gave them everything that you did, all the money you spent off of that one image release because that actor knew the game. So this liability is so important. And a lot of people, they aren't even able to launch their projects because they get into legal battles right before it. You know what I'm saying? So it's about having that foresight ahead of time on the projects. And producers know this. Producers will walk people into, you know, I've done this before myself, and it's part of what you need, why you hire a producer that knows what they're doing. If you don't, these liabilities, these indie producers, they don't understand it or understand it. And like, I that's why I have a whole, like, I bought this lawyer written from entertainment lawyers, like releases and things like that. So I don't even do a project unless people are willing to sign those things. Because it's not worth my time. I'm going to waste all this time to get to the end and nothing's going to happen. So the main thing is I always go by all assets, locations, and liability. Then I'll start your project.
And I believe that producers' work is also about creativity.
Oh, yeah. So as far as the creativity, producers are the business creatives. right? So you have your general creative, but there's very few that are what we call business creatives, which is you're creative on the other side. Like I was mentioning before, as far as the location, right? Other people, that's being creative in that way. I have a friend that has a mansion that they love me, and they'll be like, sure, I'm only there a month out of the year anyways. Here you go, Cassidy. You're a good friend of mine. So that's being creative with the budget. Someone's like, oh, we can't do this because of this, this, and this. And all right, I mean, you may think that, but for me, being creative, I'm going to go ahead and manipulate the energy, not a bad word. Words aren't bad, it's just a connotation of that. I'm going to manipulate that energy in order for it to serve me with a conscious command. Other people don't do that. They don't think that way. And it's not, it's not good or bad. I don't blame anybody. And anyone who thinks that's bad, that's on them. It's not bad. Just because I can get a location for that and that's why you hire a producer. But the creativity around producing is, okay, how am I going to pull this across the board? How am I going to get the financing? How am I going to decrease the project, follow it along in order to make it happen? How am I going to convince this person they should sign my image release because somebody didn't do their due diligence of it, right? And like, what can I give them in order to do it? You have to have that creative brain, especially with the agreements. And when it gets to distribution where the money's made, that's where you really have to be creative and be like, okay, what is, I'm very fair. I'll tell you, a lot of producers are not fair. They are sharks. They will take as much as they can. They'll gut it out, especially the people in between the lines. They will take that percentage from the filmmaker gratefully just because they don't have the knowledge, where they could just do it themselves. They're just being lazy. It's just the truth. So the creative aspect of producing is like, okay, I see that, you have that location for 10K that would cost me 3 days, but I have a better location that doesn't cost me anything. I'm silly if I don't do that, so that's the creative process. It's being a business creative, understanding the creative, but also applying the business aspect of it to it.
Well, creativity, culture, and sports are always about bringing people together, right?
Hmm?
So the question is, I have an unpopular question for you. Is it possible to completely remove political aspects from these areas of society? Um, there would be far fewer reasons for hostility between people.
Hmm?
What do you think about this?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Kudos for you on that. So I am probably the perfect person for this because I live in what's called non-duality. I don't care if you're red versus blue. I'm here to tell a story, and I'm going to tell the realest, rawest story that it is. This is, I'm not going to say brands, but certain brands will lean one or the other, and that's what they get. They only get this or that. They're actually inhibiting themselves by creating the real truth and capturing all of this, and not they're in duality where non-duality is going to gain the biggest reach, right? So if you have like a Christian filmmaker, for instance, this is fine. This is actually genre niching. They'll go towards that. But at the same time, they use that, like the smart ones will be like, you know what? I'm going to produce so if you take red versus blue politically, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna take, the president at this point in time, they're gonna do stuff because they know that there's this hate frequency on the other side. So they'll produce that intentionally to capture that. The best way that to explain this is the Howard Stern effect. He was I don't know if you know who he is. You're probably way too young. You look way too young for this person. But he was in Private Parts. It was a super funny movie. But the people who listened to him, he's a very vulgar radio show host, right? And he did a movie back in the 90s, right? But the main thing is the people who liked him listened to him a certain amount of time. The people who hated him listened to him 10 times more just to hate him. So once you understand this principle, is that once you go beyond, you go to that non-duality that you're talking about, that's the humanitarian side. It's not good or bad. It just is. I'm going to tell the real story. That's what really invokes people. Like if you look at what is it? The Sound of Freedom, right? That was a great story, right? And it goes into human trafficking and all these elements, but what rang true is this is the raw story. This is what really happens. As dark as it is, this is true. And that person who did that, I think it was Angel Studios, they were so determined to tell that story in its raw form. That's why it was successful, because it didn't take sides. It was like, this is what it is. And the best filmmakers do that. They will look at both sides, right? They won't have this narrative towards one way or another. That actually loses people because you're cutting people out by going this or that. Okay, only these people are going to watch it. You're limiting your ability to views because a view is, it doesn't matter if somebody likes you or doesn't like you. If they're paying attention to you, you win. That's why negative press is not bad press. That's what they say is, negative press is still good press because it's getting that attention up. It's getting all of that vibrate. It's still coming together. So once you start, you can actually get to the point where you leverage up somebody else's hate for your benefit. And once you get to that point where you're not affected to it mentally, like you're reading the comments and you're not going back at them, you become like a conqueror, like because you don't care. Like, wow, that person hates me and he's gotten like 100 views, but I just made 50% more sales because of it. Who wins? Who really wins in the end? Does he win and there's negative vibes, or do I win because I just profited 50% more than I did by him talking about me? So as far as your answer goes, it's best not to be, and the best stories are told that way, and they have the most effect.
Thank you. What principles should modern media platforms and media in general follow? That's an important question.
Oh, very important. Again, this is it might be some beating the dead horse, so to speak, the phrase goes, but non-duality. It shouldn't be about one way or another. And the more they can go in that, not red versus blue, this is the actual story I want to tell, rather than leaning one way or another. That's what they need to do. And that's what's happening. You've seen certain companies go polar opposite one way or another, and they've lost revenue, like massive amounts of revenue, because they're just leaning one way or another. They're going to cater to that. They lose everyone because the honest truth is most people are in the middle. They're not extreme one way or another. They're kind of like, I believe in some things this way, and this way, I can agree, but this way I don't. So having that non-duality component to film and telling both sides and being in non-duality is how you can achieve a bigger audience. Because if you're putting that limit on you, it's limiting belief, right? Okay, I'm a blue person and this person's terrible, therefore I'm going to put all my content and narrative towards this aspect. Guess what? You got a limited audience. You just limited yourself. Where if you tell a true raw story, like, look, I don't care red versus blue, Catholic, Christian, religion, I don't care across the board. This is a story I want to tell. This is how I'm going to tell it. And having that confidence and consciously commanding that to existence, that's what's going to really resonate. Like, again, I'm going to use Sound of Freedom. That was great. It resonated with the public. That's great. They were bought and put on the shelf, and then they got their rights back and they self-released it in the theaters, and they made tons of money because they told a real raw story, and everybody was like, wow. It woke people up.
That's a good thought. That's a great thought. You're actually doing really great interview here.
Hey, no worries.
Heard a lot of insights. There's a lot of insights today. Thank you. And in the end of our conversation, I would like to ask you a slightly philosophical question.
Okay. I'll try not to go on I will see if I try. See, I'm gonna extract that. I won't go on a big rant on this one, I promise, because I might still, but we'll see.
How can we unite people around the world to end all military conflicts? And is it possible to achieve the harmonious development of society?
So this is a very important philosophy. You're a really good question. You're a really good podcaster. The main thing is as much as we want to destroy all darkness, it's not going to happen because the best thing is I want you to imagine evil's a boulder, right? And the good people are beating it down, and then it starts to crumble, and then it becomes basically a tiny rock, and then they beat the rock down, and it becomes sand, and then you're beating the sand, it's still sand. Best thing is to walk away. Don't play the game. Problem is that people play the game of hate, right? If you're Hezbollah, you're going to hate Israel. If you're Israel, you're going to hate that. When you go beyond your culture, that's where sovereignty happens, because all killing's bad. We can agree. I don't want innocent kids and moms and that being. If you're in that frequency and you want to go and have that fanatic and go, that's your prerogative. But everybody else is just an innocent, right? And I'm not going to be bound by my culture or my programming, because I am a human being, the hue of man, a human being, and I have humanity, right? I believe in humanity. I believe in love. I believe in all these things. So to not play the game is the best thing to do. Start being like, okay, let me see if I was over there, because that's what I started to do. It's like, okay, even though I'm feeling this way, let me look at the other side. Thing is it's so hard for people to put themselves in the other shoe, right? So when you really realize that, like, okay, well, stall killing's bad, right? These people are just, the hate is what's killing everyone. But the main thing is you don't fight darkness, because that's going to embody yourself. Like if you manifest, for instance, this is one of my favorite like scenes ever, is Mike Tyson's going to Guru. He's like, what you going to tell me that I haven't heard? What you going to tell me? He's like, well, tough men live tough lives, because you're creating that enemy. You want something to fight against, therefore it will appear. So when you go beyond, like, well, I have no, this is where you get to unconditional love, and it's so hard to get to, like the dimension of it, because you have to love the whole creation, the good, what's perceived as good, bad, ugly, the whole thing. So what I can definitely say on that is stop playing the game, start identifying yourself in duality. And that's how we can actually discover the humanity. And the more people that project that, especially in film, that's why I'm here, is to show both sides against each other. Because one man's hero is another man, or one person, let me say it that way, is another person's terrorist, right? And once you start getting to those principles, and the more we can communicate that as humanity, it's like, look, I may disagree with you, but I still love you. I don't care if you're red or blue or black or white, or it does not matter. I love you no matter what. Even though I may have a different opinion of you in my earth vessel, I'm not going to judge you, because it's not my right to judge. Thing is we're so polarized. And what's going to happen when that happens is, as we be conscious to that principle of non-duality, people are going to just stop playing the game of dark, the this or that. But you know what? This is my opinion, but I'm not going to, because that's what it is. It polarizes us to take action against something. So we manifest our own enemy. You want an enemy? You want someone to fight? That's what people do. They want to cheer and be like, oh, I'm fighting something. Don't play the game. And the more filmmakers that don't play the game and start looking at all the sides and telling the true story, that's what's going to enlighten people. And that's what's needed in order to do it. And that's one of my purposes here is to do it through media, and being like, and like my vampire Western, for instance, it's supposed to showcase both sides of things. Not like the main one is a mutant vampire who eats other vampires, right? And it's supposed to be kind of a catch-22, is like, well, he's not bad because he's eating the people who are bad, right? It makes you think. So producing content that just wake people up. And the main thing is, don't play the game, because once you're in that low vibration, that's when they win, so to speak. They're capturing your mentality to choose this or that, where it just is. So that's what I would say about that.
Yes, and it's good to remind people that we're all just humans. Yeah.
We're
And
all just humans. It's humanity. And the main thing is like, we can't abolish those people of hate. They're going to do what they're going to do. The best thing we can do is not play the game. So.
yes, and let's support each other,
Mhm.
love each other, respect, and remember that changes begins within you. That's
Mhm.
what I want to say. Thank
That's
you,
exactly right.
Cassidy. This
Anytime.
was
Much gratitude.
wonderful.
Thank you
It's
allowing
good
me
to
to
have you.
project. Always good to be here. Much gratitude.